Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn to configure hot desking in Inform Voice. Hot desking is a feature that can be used in meeting rooms or in open office spaces where users come into the office or go into the meeting room and they can log into the terminal, and the terminal assumes the extension number of the user logging in. When the user is ready to leave, he or she just logs out and the terminal is ready for another user. There are few conditions for the terminals that allow this feature to be used. First of all, the brand of terminals can be either NEC or Polycom. The reason why is that they provide a browser, or we call it mini browser, and Inform Voice has the web pages to present on the mini browser. Also, the terminal has to have an extension number and has to have assigned a user. Why does the station need an extension number? Well, unlike other systems where the terminal can be completely logged off, in the case of Inform Voice, we want the station to be alive in order to dial an emergency number like 911. Also, in order to activate the feature itself, the terminal has to be associated with a user because that user provides the web services that the terminal need in order to activate the feature. Let me show you the terminal we are going to use to show this feature. I prepared a station for that, which is the station 2003 here. And the station 2003 has an extension 2003 labeled meeting room. And if I look at the properties, that extension meeting room is associated with a user meeting room, which we can see over here. What we need from this user meeting room is this web services rights. That's basically what we need from it. Now, let's enable the hot desking feature on this station. Once we met all the conditions I mentioned, the only thing I have to do is to click on this checkbox that says hot desking, and I apply it. And we need to reboot the phone in order for this new feature to be incorporated into the phone through the configuration files. Once the terminal restarted, we are ready to try the feature. But first, let's check the user we are going to use to override the original extension number of the phone. So we will go to the Users tab. And we'll look for this user Evan Adams. What I'm interested from Evan Adams is his address, which will be used to log in as the username, and this user authentication password, which is the password that we will use along with the extension number to log in as Evan Adams. So let's see, how do we do it on the phone? So here we have our terminal, meeting room 2003. In order to activate the feature, I need to press the feature button, which will open up the menu that is the micro browser menu. And the first item we will see is Hot Desk Login. So we will select that feature and we will present it with the extension number and password to log in. So let's log in with 2004 and the password. Okay, here we have a successful login. We press OK. And now it seems that nothing happened because we still see meeting room and the extension number 2003. It turns out that the phone needs a period in which it polls the server for updates to the name and extension number while the terminal is idle. So this is why it takes a little time. And actually, the time it takes by default, it's too long. We will shorten it. But after, I will explain that to you a little bit later. Now, let's try to call this extension. Here I have my microSIP soft phone, so I will call the original extension number of the meeting room. And as you can see, now this number is incorrect because there is no longer a 2003. It was replaced. So if now I dial 2004, which is the extension that replaced it, we hear it ringing because we are actually calling that extension. Now let's get back to the phone. And as you see, there is still the wrong information on the screen, but you can see here there is a missed call because I just called extension 2004. Let me show you how we can log out, and then I will show you how to shorten this poll interval time. So let's go to the feature button, and then we'll see now the menu says Hot Desking Logout. I can select Hot Desking Logout, and I'm back to the original extension. Now you see that the display changed, and soon it will change back to 2003 as we just logged out. So there is this little delay we have to account for. In case of the NECDT phones, the delay is controlled through an item in a configuration file. There is no menu to do it in the GUI. The file we are going to create or modify is called dt-customer.cfg. This config file allows us to override any other configuration from any other file in the set of files that the phone downloads when it restarts. This is the format of the file. It's an XML file. The item we are looking for is this one, which is basically poll interval, and the smallest value we can set it is 30 seconds. So please make sure you copy exactly the format of this file as shown here. And also when you save it, make sure you save it as UTF-8 because it's the format that the phone expects the file to have. So once we have the file, we will upload it to the Inform Voice server in a specific location for the phones to find it. So I do have the file here as DT customer CFG. So I will open up another file explorer and go to my Inform Voice server. And here we have it. We will go to the spherical share and we will go to the FTP root folder. Now, phones, these NEC DT phones are under NEC SDT 700, and here I will copy the customer file. Copy. Okay, so the file has been copied. The next time that the terminal reboots, it will override whatever it had, and it will assume this shorter hold time. It turned out that the user we used to override the meeting room's extension number, Evan Adams, has a terminal of his own. Because he has an office and he's just using the meeting room temporarily. What happens to users that don't have any office? Users that come to the office and use one of those open office spaces. Well, we can assign one of those users, but we need to do something additional, which I will show you in a second. Let me create a user, Dave, Jeff, if it is. I will change this. And I will give it a password easy to remember. I need to give it user services rights. The user can be user-centric or not. Let me give it an address. Let me create a new extension, 3002, and let me assign it to Las Vegas. Well, this should be enough, because actually the user just needs an extension number. It doesn't have a phone. Well, what happens is that the hot desking service is not going to work this way, because unfortunately we need to assign a station to the overriding user. But if we assign a station, we will consume a license, and we might not have licenses because the user originally did not have a station of his own. So how can we do that? Well, we can do it assigning a special type of station called virtual station. Let me go to the Stations tab and let me add a virtual station. This virtual station will act as an actual physical station, will register to the UCM. The UCM we are defining here, and we can even assign an alternate. And the only difference is that it's just not physical, but the software will see it as a station. So we assign the station, we give it an extension number, and now we can assign a right let's say employees. We can even give it a hub number, and we assign the rights of this user Dave Jeffries. And that's it. So now, if we look at the extension, this has a station, its extension number. We look at the properties, and now this has a user, and this user has the password. So now if we try to log in this user, we press the feature key, we select hot desking, we enter the extension number and the password, and the login is successful. As you can see now, the information on the display updated much faster. We can log out again using feature, hot desking logout. And now soon the display will change back to meeting. There is a variant of this feature that's strictly available on NEC-DT phones. NEC-DT phones have programmable keys. So if a user has his or her own office with his or her phone with a pattern in the programmable keys of that phone, when that user moves to a meeting room, he or she would expect the same key pattern to be assumed by the phone when the user logs into that meeting room phone. Well, the way that the feature works as we described so far doesn't allow it. In order for the hot desking feature to move or assign the keys of the phone, we need to convert the hot desking feature to user-based hot desking. And we will do it by going to the General tab and going to the System Properties and enabling the feature called user-based hot desking. Once we do that, all the terminals that have hot desking set in its configuration need to reset. So we allow them to reset. And while the terminal is resetting, let me show you what happens with the programmable keys. Programmable keys are related to the stations, right? So let's say our 2003 meeting room has a key parameter tab where we can set the keys for that station. Under user-based hot desking, a new tab is added to the users. And we will see it right here. So now the DTerm keys will follow the users when they log in. So let's assign a simple feature here to this user, Evan Adams, and let's wait until the terminal finishes its restart so I can show you what happens when we log in. Here's our meeting room phone, so we will log in using Evan Adams' credentials. You press the feature key, select the hot desking feature, and we select the user, the password, and now you can see that there is a do not disturb key. Now the information of the name and the station number hasn't been updated yet, but the key pattern has been already updated to the one that belongs to Evan Adams, as you can see now in the screen. In summary, we learned how to set up the hot desking feature and how to set up both address-based hot desking and user-based hot desking. With that, I thank you and I see you in the next video.